Hello and welcome to Chronological Clone Wars, presented by the Podawakens, part of the Logjam Media Podcast Network. My name is Jordan, and with me, as always, on this journey through our chronological rewatch, it's Logan. How are you today, Logan?
Good. I don't think we've ever talked about this on this show, but I love your background, and I know we've
Oh,
talked about it off air. But like, how if somebody wanted to go about creating one? Because I've seen some online, and I know people always ask about them. Like, how did you do it? Like, did you have a software that does that?
no, so I went to Canva. I
Oh,
looked up
it's a
Zoom
creation.
background,
Get you.
and then I just used whatever they had. I did like a room, right? And it's just like it
Yeah.
was this plain room with the wood floors and the white wall. And then I looked up bookshelves, and then I just found a bookshelf I like. And then I just went on Google and stuff and started looking up Star Wars memorabilia and started putting them on the shelves. And then, on the wall behind me, I have R2 sitting there, and then I have
Hmm.
the posters and like some cool like memorabilia stuff that I don't
Yeah.
actually own. Um, But the movies on here, those Blu-rays on the third shelf are my Blu-rays. I actually went down, took a picture of them, took out the background, and those are
It
my
looks
those are my
solid.
copies. Yeah.
Like I did not know that part. Like and we've talked about this multiple times, but I know people on here are probably like, what? How did he get those backgrounds?" And I know people do create them because I've seen them on TikTok. Like there are people that have the real. That's the dream, Jordan, is to have like a nice setup, like
Yeah, like
which
the real
what we're doing with this
background. Yeah.
office. Yeah, but I got to try to figure out what to do with this office. A funny one before we get started too. Did you? So I know there's probably some men listening to this podcast, and I heard a TikTok that was really funny where it said that our wives or our partners give people a man cave because they they don't want the rest of the house decorated. So I want to know, people out there who are listening, do you guys feel like you only have a man cave? Man cave. I don't ever call my thing that. I just call the office. But they're like, it's not a toxic masculinity trait. It's more so of like the women give, or the man gives their boyfriend or husband the room so that they can decorate it. So I want to know that. I want to know if you're a big Star Wars fan and you're given a room and you've decorated and maybe send some pictures in, and then start to ask your partner if you were given that room specifically so you don't put your Star Wars stuff in other
You don't even
rooms.
have to ask them that. Just say, "Hey, I was thinking of putting some of
That's,
these Star Wars posters out in the hallway,"
yeah.
and then see their reaction. And then you'll know by that they're like, "Oh no, I did get this room
Yeah.
just to decorate
Yeah.
this
See if your husband and wife won't kill you.
room."
But
Yeah.
they can put like we got a Taylor Swift shrine getting ready to go up in our foyer, like our front
Mm.
room.
Yeah, they get away with that. Yeah.
And I love Taylor. Like I'm a big Swifty, but I would like to put up some of my, sports memorabilia in there.
I know, and that's the thing too. Is I'm thinking like, what am I gonna put in mine whenever I get one? Is it
Yeah.
going to be a mix of nerd stuff with sports?
Sports.
Probably.
Yeah.
That's probably what
That's
it's
what
gonna
mine.
be.
Yep. That's 100% mine. I might be relocating this office back to the old room that I was in because supposedly I'm too loud when I talk about my stuff. There's a TV
What
right behind
room?
me too.
What room were you in before?
So there's a guest bedroom right down the hallway of this one. Like it's straight down the
When were you
hallway.
in there? I feel like you're always in here.
No, the very beginning. If we go back to the
Oh,
beginning, but I have my
like
green screen.
when your green screen fell and
Yes,
stuff.
I
Oh,
no
okay.
that no, I was in here with
Oh,
that,
okay.
but
Okay.
I would say the first month that we did stateside, our other pod, soccer pod, that I was in that room for a month. Then
Oh,
I
wow.
moved into this one, and I actually like this one better because it's less angled, so I could put more stuff on the wall. That one in there's more angled, so it'll be a little bit
Mm.
more tough. But
How many
either
spare
way,
rooms do you have?
so I have two, and we are thinking about a third. And if we did build the third, like put up drywall to build the third, I would be in that one because it's all the way down by the front door.
Oh, okay.
So that way, then I really have a good, like there's a nice window in there, and I'd have all the space to put up all my stuff. So
Well, it sounds like you have quite the conundrum
yeah,
of
sorry
trying
it
to
was a
order.
tangent, but
It's all right. We got to show personality every so often.
there we go.
Week
We have
11 of
some of
our
those.
rewatch here, which I think was 30 some weeks long. So we're like a third of the way in.
That's so sad, but kind of nice.
It sounds crazy because this show is 7 seasons long and we're only through the first one. But Yeah, sure. How many weeks, guys?
Oh,
Well,
it's a lot.
okay, it's 45.
I
Okay.
was gonna say it was closer to 50, I think.
All right, yeah, yeah. So we are a quarter of the way through, pretty much at this point. Not bad. Um, yeah. So this week we are starting season 2, and I'm very excited to talk about this because I think this week, no spoilers here, I guess, on my thoughts, but I think this week was pretty darn good. I texted you this yesterday. I said the second batch are fantastic. Did you already? When did you watch them? This morning, or did you watch them earlier?
So I watched the last episode we just did because we're recording. Spoiler alert: we're wearing the same stuff. We don't. We promise we wash our clothes. Well, that's
Yeah, we
another
do.
thing I didn't tell you. I got to buy a new washer. But we. So yeah. We. I watched those Thursday night. Yeah, Thursday night, and then I watched these this morning. So
Okay, cool.
yeah, these are fresh.
These are very fresh. Okay. You know what? These kept my attention more than the Ryloth arc. I really
Yes,
love these episodes.
same.
Um, we get the introduction here chronologically to a certain Cad Bane.
Hmm.
Look at him.
Gosh,
So cool.
so cool.
So we get Cad Bane introduced. You were introduced to him in Book of Boba Fett. So what
Yes.
was your thoughts here of seeing him in cartoon action for the first time?
Yeah. It was funny that you say that. I was actually introduced to him in season 1, episode 22, because I started to watch that one. I was like, wait, that's not the one we're watching. So I skipped ahead. He's actually introduced the episode before that, but I still feel like where that episode started, we'll get to that eventually. But this episode actually does a nice job. Um, it was so cool seeing him in the cartoon form. I will say the first like 2 minutes, it takes a really hard, like it takes a lot of focus to understand what he's saying because you're just not used to how he speaks, and it's very like Southern but robot, like or Western and robot. I don't
Like
know.
a,
It's very
I would say like a frog. I
yeah,
don't know, it's
yeah,
like a frog
yes,
voice almost.
yeah, almost like Kermit the Frog. Like he, no, I'm kidding. But he does. He has a weird way to speak. But Jordan, I loved him, loved him in the Book of Boba Fett. And I was like, I'm so like this was one of the reasons I really wanted to go back. I need Cad Bane. I need a Funko.
Cad Bane Funko.
Yes. But yeah, like this was one of the reasons why I was so excited to come back. Him and Ahsoka were the two reasons I was so excited to come back. Hi, Cat, and watch the Clone Wars because of Cad Bane. But my goodness, these episodes. Not to spoil anything, but I love these.
All right, yeah, so we're talking Holocron Heist, which was directed by Justin Ridge and written by. Oh, this is why it's so good. This is why it's so good. Written by the legendary Paul Dini, who helped create and write Batman the Animated Series, which was an absolute classic. He wrote some of the Arkham games. I mean, he is legendary. And he wrote this first episode here, which aired October 2nd, 2009. Just, man, absolutely amazing. So it's funny to see these production codes too, by the way, because this production code is 123 for like as if season 1, episode 23. And uh Cargo Doom production code is 113. And then Children of the Force production code is 203. I don't know why. That's just the order they made them in, I guess, but it's just kind of wild. Um, but yeah, so oh, you know what I didn't do last week, and I probably should have. Oh well, is read the Disney Plus description. But I'm going to do it this week for this episode. The one we recorded last week was our first one in quite some time, as we had these stockpiled. So I am a little rusty on this. Okay, so Cad Bane infiltrates the Jedi Temple is the Disney Plus description of this episode, and boy does he. So Ahsoka disobeyed orders again here in this episode, so she gets benched. She goes to the Jedi Temple, and Palpatine is going to hire Cad Bane to get the holocron from the Jedi Temple. And in this, it's kind of up to Cad Bane to figure out how he's going to get in there, how he's going to get this. So he goes and meets with a changeling who can change their appearance. And we've seen a character like this in Attack of the Clones. Zam Wesell was a changeling. And the changeling is going to... Bane killed one of the Jedi. The changeling is going to act like that Jedi and get him in and kind of be his guy in the chair in the Jedi library, telling him, hey, go here, do this. And with that, we get Jocasta Nu, who is the, librarian, Jedi Master, who comes over, and she's a little suspicious. She's saying something, and then the changeling is just going to whack Jocasta upside the head pretty much and knock him out, and then is going to pose as Jocasta Nu. We get a great scene then where Ahsoka walks in and ends up battling this fake Jocasta Nu with lightsabers. You can kind of tell the way they animate these, Logan, is very interesting, because even though it's Jocasta Nu model, right? They animate her as somebody that's not a force wielder, like those swings they're making are very like first time using a lightsaber type of thing. And I thought that was a really nice touch. And I think sometimes some shows might just animate whatever, but I think it was a nice touch to just kind of show a clunky swinging at first here. And what we learn that they're after here is a Jedi Kyber crystal, which has the name of all the Force-sensitive Jedi children that will become Jedi. Does this sound familiar at all, Logan? This is almost exactly what happens in Jedi Fallen Order.
That's what I was going to say. Felt like I was playing with Cal Kestis again, and I was getting ready to take on a Kyber crystal. Yeah, no, this was cool, because I was like, the crystal. I remember playing it and then seeing it in the game. Right, and did we get the actual? We actually see it, right?
We got the holocron, I think,
yeah,
too. Yeah.
Right. Whoa! What the heck? Did you see that?
Yeah, that was weird.
Whoa! Why did?
That is so cool. Weird. What is that? Mine doesn't do it. Yours does it.
Is this on YouTube?
No, I don't know.
So we're recording on StreamYard, and we're holding up heart, and there's hearts flying up. I didn't know it did. That's kind of cool.
At first I thought it was balloons that flew behind you. I was like, what is that?
The force is strong with us, Jordan. We're force wielding. We are.
Yeah, we forced these hearts out of nowhere. Yeah, but so we had I believe, it's been a while since I played Fallen Order, but I believe I don't know if this is the same holocron, or it was a different holocron, I thought, but it's the same information of the Jedi Force sensitive children that could become Jedi. I just thought this was interesting, seeing this and being like, oh, they come back to this in Fallen Order. Yeah, so that's kind of like this first episode here. What was your thoughts on this first one here? Because I think this one was a really great start to this arc here. Introduction to Cad Bane for us chronological watchers, and just kind of cool to kind of see it from a villain's perspective. We kind of get mostly his perspective, and then Ahsoka's when they're dealing with trying to break into the Jedi Temple. When Palpatine tells him you have to go in there and get this thing, you're kind of thinking, how is he going to do that? And he comes up with a pretty great plan.
Yeah, I love Cad Bane. I think he's one of the best bounty hunters we see, obviously, because we just gushed about him. I also think he's one of the more intelligent villains. Like, there's a lot of them that I'm like, what the heck? Like, Grievous is not that smart. I think he's got different. Asajj Ventress is not that brilliant. I don't think, like, she's very crafty, but I don't think she thinks things through. Even Count, like, I don't think he's as wise to things. When you're dealing with bounty, man, I feel like there's a different level of skeeziness to them. Like, they're definitely, there's an under layer of, like, just knowing things before things happen. and knowing how to get themselves out of really bad situations. Because I think Han Solo does it. I think Boba Fett does it, making up characters here now. But again, I do. I really enjoyed seeing Cad kind of in that building that he's in. Jordan kind of feels very like villainesque of like a Spider-Man movie or like a Batman movie where
I was
he's
gonna
in
say
that.
what it felt like to me was like a noir detective
Yeah.
lair,
Yep.
like a villain's lair in a noir
Yep.
story. We also started off this episode with Obi-Wan and Anakin being on Felucia, which is the
Mhm.
planet that Ayla Secura is going to die on in Revenge of the Sith. Which I thought was a cool little touch there, just seeing some of these different planets. Um, no, yeah, I thought this episode was really fun. Great stuff going on here. And so Obi-Wan and Anakin are going to arrive again, and Obi-Wan's going to stay on Coruscant to search for Cad Bane, and then Anakin and Ahsoka are going to try to track down uh, Bola Ropal, which was the Jedi that actually had the crystal. We'll find out and actually see him in the next episode. Um, what'd you think of Bane's droid here, Toto? We didn't get to see him in. I guess Toto was sitting in the ship while Cad was meeting with Boba Fett in Book of Boba Fett. But what was your thoughts on Toto?
Yeah, we definitely weren't in Kansas anymore.
I will say it's Todo and not
Yeah, it is
Toto, but
Toto.
yes,
Yeah, that's what I kept thinking when he said it. I love the droid. He reminds me of the what's the droid's name in Fallen Order?
BD1, yeah.
Yes, thank you. Um, very similar in the way that they look and kind of like bounce around. But yeah, no, I love the droid. I like that he's just kind of like questioning. No, what are you doing to me? I don't remember no crash. What are you talking about? A crash? What are
Yeah.
you talking about?
And then
No.
there's the part where, when they're all in the temple,
Yeah.
maze and stuff, and then like the bomb starts beeping and he doesn't realize that Cad put a bomb in him. He's
Yeah.
like, "Bomb? What bomb are you talking about?" Boom, right? Now, I will
uh,
say that's not the last we see of Toto, so he is fine.
oh, good.
He's not dead.
Also in Cad Bane, I think it's the other episode. No, it might be. I don't know which one it was, but whenever they're falling in the fans and like it
Yes.
turns back on, and then he goes, "I'm so sorry." Like he says, like the droid apologizes. He goes, "I'm sorry. I didn't know that was going to happen." So
Yeah, so the next one was Cargo of Doom, which was written by George Kerstick and directed by Rob Coleman. It also aired October 2nd, so they were having a nice 2-episode premiere here on Cartoon Network, and that description says Anakin and Ahsoka intercept Cad Bane's warship. So they are going to try to find the Master Ropal, who was, again, having the crystal. We find out that Bane has hunted him down and captured him. And at this current point is trying to torture the Jedi Master to force him to open up this hologram. The holocron, not hologram. Sorry. The droids are torturing him at first. Cad then goes in and says, "Hey, keep turning this thing. Let's keep cranking this thing up," and it ends up killing him, which was not great. But Cad doesn't really care. Anakin and Ahsoka arrive on the outside of this warship with their space helmets on, and they start using their lightsabers and doing this great battle on the surface of the starship. What do you think of this? I mean, Ahsoka kind of does something similar in Ahsoka when she goes out there with the helmet and lightsaber, but I feel like this is the first time we're seeing it in the show at all.
yeah, it always shocks me when they jump on spaceships and I'm like, wait, what? Like, how does that work? How can she breathe? But I love that Ahsoka is again very rebel like and doesn't really follow the traditional Jedi ways. She follows very much into Anakin. Like it is mind blowing how much she is like Anakin Skywalker.
Yeah.
Like unbelievable. And I don't know her end, Jordan. Like I don't know what her end is. You probably do. But it's strange to me that she's not one that is still around and hiding. Like that she's disappeared somewhere, and I felt like she'd be clever enough to just disappear and not be found. But I don't know. I don't know what her end game is, and people are probably like, "This is what happens to her," but I don't know. I have no idea. Or
And
do we
don't
ever
tell
find
them.
out?
And
Do we ever
don't
find
tell
out?
them. Yes, we are going to find it. We will see what. I mean, one,
In
there's a
this
whole
show or in
in this
Ahsoka?
show. Uh, in neither of those shows.
In Rebels?
Yes, we will see. We will see more of her in Rebels and figure
Okay.
out what she was
Interesting.
doing during some of this time. Um,
But do we know her end game? Like we know what happens?
end game, like
Yeah.
no,
Like
like we're
death or
we're
not?
all no, we're all kind of caught up with Ahsoka in Ahsoka,
Um,
so we don't know what
okay.
happens going forward.
Interesting. Okay. That makes sense then.
Yeah. People always thought she had to die because she wasn't in episode 3,
Right.
and what I would say to those people is, you're not creative enough.
She
There's so much
disappeared.
you can do to make people just, like you said, disappear.
Especially Jedi. I feel like they are one that could just.
People do that all the time though, with Star Wars or with anything really. Where they're like, well, it's a prequel and this character's not in this movie, so they must be dead. Like people thought that with Rogue One, and while that does end up being true for Rogue One, it didn't have to be. Like they could
Yeah.
have literally survived and just been doing other missions while our heroes are focused on the Death Star. I
Yeah.
mean, they also could have just been background people in A New Hope. Like just because they're the main characters of one movie doesn't mean they're a character in the next movie. So
Right. I'm just glad Darth Maul's dead. You know.
yeah, and that's not going to change at all.
It's the only thing I know about this show.
And we got another 2 seasons to
I
go.
know.
Okay, so Anakin and Ahsoka then get inside the ship, and Ahsoka is going to be the one that finds the body of Master Ropal. Sadly, here they have this cool anti-gravity battle against Cad Bane too, where they're in
Yeah.
like this in the ship, and like the anti-gravity thing comes on, and they're all kind of floating around with their sabers, and he's shooting stuff. It was, man, some wild episodes here. Cad Bane is going to capture Ahsoka while Anakin is like covered in rubble. Anakin uses the Force to blow it off, but he's going to go and have this rendezvous with Cad Bane and pretty much say, Cad Bane gives him an option like, hey, open up this holocron for me and everything will be fine. I don't think Anakin believes this, but he is going to surrender, put his lightsaber down, open up the holocron, and then he's going to pull both sabers, his saber and Ahsoka's, to him. And, the airlock opens up where Ahsoka's about to fly out of this airlock. Anakin has the saber. They escape, but they escape without the holocron, and they escape without having defeated Cad Bane. Now, they think he's dead. There's a part here where Anakin says, oh, Bane must have died, but he did not, obviously, as we go into the next episode. But just a fun middle chapter in this 3-episode arc here with Cad Bane and Anakin and Ahsoka dueling, battling it out a few times here.
Yeah, it was one of the coolest battle like sequences that I can remember in Star Wars. Just the anti gravity, and then the ability for the stormtroopers to they're like, we've dealt with this in training, so you know how to do this. So they were able to figure it out, and then Cad Bane's blaster is really cool. Like I like that a lot. And then that scene with Anakin where he's kind of on his knees and he's like, he's at his end, and it was like, man, where do they go from here? And he's always able to find a way out of it. And he's got both lightsabers, and he's able to save Ahsoka. But this is again, where I still think that Cad Bane's still brilliant. Like he still he found out a way to get that would be one of those end games for a lot of those people. Whenever Anakin kind of blasts through it, like most villains would have disappeared outside of that and right into space and gotten destroyed. But yeah, Cad Bane able to figure it out.
We have a new Cad Bane stan here on the podcast.
We do. Yeah, I'm gonna start dressing like him.
That's why.
Um,
That's why. Like, if people go back and listen to our Book of Boba Fett stuff, I was talking up Cad Bane quite a bit. I was saying how
oh, it's
cool he
so good. He's
is.
so great. I was like, gosh, I don't want him to die. Like,
Yeah,
me too
yeah.
soon. And I was
Sadly,
like, well, he can't die, right? Not yet. He's in the Book of Boba Fett, but
yeah. So there's some spoilers there, I guess, right?
yeah,
All right. Then our next episode was Children of the Force, written by Henry Gilroy and Wendy Merkel, and Brian Kalin O'Connell with the directing. And it's Disney Plus. Synopsis reads: Cad Bane is giving a new destructive mission. Pretty dark episode, this one here, as what we find out is, you know, we kind of get this scene where Palpatine is looking over these children on Mustafar. We're going to find out it's Mustafar that he's on. He's looking over these children in his hologram, right? And has a droid there, and he wants them to be kind of like this army of Force sensitives. And the first thought I kind of had with this was not what they end up being, obviously, but I think this might be the first idea he has of the Inquisitors, right? I mean, like, that
yeah,
seems very Inquisitor. Like, hey, I'm going to have these army of Force sensitives that are going to do my bidding for me. So I thought that was pretty interesting now, going back and watching this after Rebels and Obi-Wan and all these shows that have had Inquisitors. Now, kind of introducing this concept without saying the name of it.
yeah. No, it was interesting to kind of find out a little bit more background on the Inquisitor, and I don't know. This episode had a good feel though. Like I felt like it was a really strong ending to a really good character arc for not only Cad Bane, but I think Anakin and Ahsoka too. Like you see a lot of again their similarities, and a little bit too early to jump the gun sometimes. But yeah, no, I did love this, and I thought seeing them go after the Force sensitive children, was something that again, looking at Anakin, you're like, dude, what the hell?
Especially being on Mustafar, right?
Yeah,
Which is
yeah,
going to be the home of
yeah.
his Vader castle.
Demise,
And
and also his
where
demise.
his demise is. Yeah.
Right.
Um, what about this? An injured clone kicking off this episode here, and Ahsoka trying to help him. And we find out later this is Cad Bane in disguise. I thought this was a
Yes.
very smart way to get out of this. He's so smart with how he got out of this mess where you're with, two Jedi, and nobody even questions it because he's just wearing the clone trooper stuff.
Yeah. Green blood was the only reason they found him. It was like
Yep.
Anakin's like, wait a minute, like this is odd. Like, why is that clone sticking around? Like, wait, what? And then he walks off, and you're going, And as soon as Anakin starts to question, and they do that cut scene where it's just his face going, wait a minute.
Yeah.
He's like, but you know what was really sad about this about this scene, Jordan? Cad Bane lost his hat.
Yeah, true.
I love that hat so much.
He will get it back.
Good,
He will get
good.
it back.
He's like
Or
Indy
buy a
without his
new
hat.
one or
Like,
whatever.
why does he even exist without his hat?
With who without a hat?
Indiana Jones.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say too. I want
You
to make
can't.
sure that's what I said. Yeah. I know there's times I'm watching an Indiana Jones movie and you're like, oh, he lost it. Where? Oh, there it is. It got
There it
it
is.
back.
Yep,
Yeah, he
yep.
went back for it.
Right.
Anakin and Yoda have this scene where they're like meditating in
Yeah,
his room.
that was cool.
It was cool. It's kind of like when he's having his. It's like a scene in episode 2 where he's having the vision of his mom's death, and he
Yep.
goes in to talk to Yoda, and it's like this. Yoda has this chill vibe, man. I
Yeah, he
mean
does.
that room is how I want my room to be. I'm not one for a lot of light, So the fact that Yoda always has that room with like the blinds turned up, so the sunlight doesn't get in and there's no like artificial lights. He's like, we're just gonna meditate in here, bro. And that's what I'm like, Yoda, I see you. I see you.
Well, you don't see him because it's dark, but
Yeah, true. Yeah, there you go. I don't see you, but I feel you in
yeah,
the force. And I like
you're
that we're
very Yoda.
meditating right
You
now.
are very Yoda. I don't see. I'm the opposite of you. You would hate, like, hell, we lived together, but we didn't live together. You were in the other room. But you would. I'm surprised because I am not. I am one that likes to turn on all the lights. I love lights.
Yeah, I'm
You like the dark.
what was it? I was working from home the other day and it was this like cloudy gray day.
Yeah.
These blinds are never open because Oscar sits in here with me and he will look
Uh,
out them and freak out if he sees
yeah.
people. So I have those closed. And then these lights I have on now for the podcast were off, right? So I was in a dark room. And it was a really cloudy day to the point of like, it's like 3 p.m. and it's like almost pitch black in here. And all the light I have on is the monitor as I'm sitting here working. And then I had to jump into a meeting with my boss. I had to turn these lights on. And she's like, how's your day going? I was like, really good. This is like the first time I had the lights on all day.
She's
Had
probably
the
like, that's
heater going. I had my heater going because it's freezing in here. It's a great time.
it's wild. Yeah, I'll even open the window if I have the opportunity to do so. But yeah,
Yeah,
I
no,
love lights.
I
You're
will not
definitely Yoda.
turn the lights on until I absolutely need to. Like my feeling of a great day is like I'll be down there. Like when I was playing FIFA last night, I had like none of the lights on, just the TV glow as I'm sitting down there, and it was chill vibes. It was really great. Yoda would have dug it. I'll tell you
Yeah,
that. Yoda would have been meditating in that room.
lights off must be.
So they sense Naboo, and we find out Cad Bane is looking for a child on Naboo. Ahsoka kind of got there first as Cad Bane removes the blanket and it's just like a toy or something. And they're going to catch Cad Bane here, and Obi-Wan and Mace Windu are going to interrogate them. And then they're all going to try this Force mind trick on him. It doesn't
Yeah,
really work, but it was enough pain. I don't know what this would feel like. People trying to enter your brain like this. I would think it would feel pretty wild, but it doesn't really work. But he does say like, all right, I'll tell you, but it's not like it's not like it was forced with the mind trick. I don't think. And he's going to take them to the Holocron. This is then where we get that scene of Palpatine talking to the babies. But Cad Bane and Obi-Wan and Mace Windu take an elevator to the Holocron, and then Mace is going to immediately step into the trap. He's going to fall for the trap. Cad Bane's like, let me get it for you. And of course, Mace Windu doesn't trust this guy, like you shouldn't. And he's like, no, I'll go. And then first thing, boom, booby trapped. Cad Bane escapes. And you have Obi-Wan and Mace Windu having to get out of this trap. This is then where we find out with Anakin and Ahsoka, they have to go to Mustafar, which is where is where Palpatine's having all of the babies taken to. And once he finds out Anakin and Ahsoka are on their way, he's like, all right, shut it down. What's that meme? Like the shut it down meme.
yeah.
This is
Shut it
shut it
down.
down.
Turn the
This is
lights
over.
off, baby. It's over.
He wants to sink this building into
Mm-hmm.
the lava with the babies inside of it. Talk
Yeah.
about the most evil guy you will ever meet in your life.
Yeah.
All right. They do find the babies and they save them. And again, in the back of your head, the whole time you're thinking, Anakin, this is going to be your home, and you're going to kill as many babies as you want.
Yeah, I 100% on par. His master is wanting to kill children. Why not? Why not the Padawan? I guess he
Right.
would be the Padawan then. But like why not? Let's just sink a whole building with children in it. The one thing I do like I don't know if we really got into it, or I guess it's like here, like when Anakin and Ahsoka show up, and is she the only one that has that ability where she can hear the kids crying? Like, I thought that was strange. Like I was because there's obviously in this one Anakin does the thing, and I wanted to ask you that too. Are Anakin and Yoda the only ones that can see into the future, like have visions?
Um,
Because I feel like none of the other Jedi I feel like can do it.
There are other Jedi that I believe have done it before, but in the sake of like the movies and the shows that we've seen, yes, I believe these are the only two that we
Yeah,
see do it.
because I know that, right. I think, is it, can Ray can remember, like, feel things in the past, like things that have happened. Like most Jedi can do that, right? Where like if she enters a thing and she's like, wait, I can, something happened here.
Well, that was really great. I don't know if you noticed it when you were watching Ahsoka earlier this year, but there are straight up references to Fallen Order and Jedi
Yes.
Survivor.
Yep.
She uses the
Yep.
Force Sense Echo
Yeah.
on objects and is like, and
You're
she
right.
hears this conversations going on, just like you do in the
Yeah.
game where you go to an area, touch the
And you
thing,
can,
and you
yep.
get to.
And you can see like the
So
goes. Yeah.
yeah, so I
Yep.
think that is yes, I do think most people can probably do that. I
Okay.
think a lot of people just think it's probably just Cal because he's the only one we've seen do it at the time. But I do think most can probably do that, or at least Ahsoka's able to. Rey, I believe, is able to. She does it with something with Rise of Skywalker, I believe, with the dagger.
Because she does it
What?
with Ben, but that's because of connection. But
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
that's different. But yeah, no, I thought it was cool because it's a lightsaber. It's when she goes to visit, what's her name? What is it Mars? Maz?
Oh, Maz Kanata. Oh,
Yeah, Maz.
right. When she
When
gets
she's
when she gets
sensing.
Luke's lightsaber,
Yes.
it was
When
calling
she
to her.
senses it. Yeah. And maybe it's other Jedi that she can, like another Jedi has to be involved to where they can make that connection. But I don't know. I love that. Like, and you're right. I forgot that Ahsoka does have like that echo, like where she can sense what conversations had happened.
Yeah. All right. So yeah, that was pretty interesting. Yeah. The that you bring up the foresight stuff, right? Like the
Mhm.
when they meditate and see the future, because it is really the only two I think, unless if I'm missing something.
Because I feel like they all have their like own little special ability, like Ahsoka. Like I feel like she can sense her like pain almost. It's weird,
You're right. I
but
didn't think about that either. That maybe because she is the first one
to hear the cry,
to hear
and he
the.
does. It's like Anakin doesn't, because he
Yeah,
asked
he's
her
like, what?
where. Yeah, he's like, "Where are they?" And I was like, "Well, why doesn't Anakin
Well, he
sense
has an
that?"
aversion to children, as we'll find out in season 3. I mean, episode 3.
Yeah, he can't hear them. He just wants to kill them.
He did not hear when they were like, Master
I don't.
Skywalker, what are we to do?
Yeah, I don't like kids or sand. Did he have some
They
kind of
get their
trauma in a
germs
sandbox?
everywhere.
Yeah, like I feel like in a sandbox one time he had it real bad.
Yeah.
Like a-
The Tatooine sandbox. He's like
yeah,
playing with some kids that pushed him into sand. And he's like, oh, I hate both
a
of you.
British kid too.
Yeah.
This is Skywalker.
But yeah, so they save the babies. Cad Bane gets away. And I have some good news. We're going to see a lot of him this season.
Hell yes, we are.
So the next episodes we have to watch here are Season 2, Episode 17, Bounty Hunters. Season 2, Episode 18, The Zillo Beast. Season 2, Episode 19, The Zillo Beast Strikes Back. And Season 2, Episode 4, Senate Spy. So those are the ones that we will be diving into later next week. This season is a lot. They call it the. I forget what they call it. Something with the bounty hunters. This season is mainly focused on the bounty hunter stuff, so you're going to get a lot of that, which is great, and which is why I really enjoyed season 2 when I was watching it for the first time. So there's a lot of good stuff to do with this. We're also going to start diving into Mandalore stuff later this season too. So we got some really great stuff that we will be diving into with our episodes this season, and then I just can't wait to see as we continue going. One of the most famous arcs is later on in season 3 that we're going to get to, and then of course season 4 is the Maul season, pretty much. So got a lot going on. We got a lot going on in this. We're on week 11. Next week is week 12 of our journey of this 45 week run that we're going through here with chronological Clone Wars. And then at some point, hopefully, a Rebels and Bad Batch watch. As sometime soon, we're supposed to get a release date of Bad Batch Season 3. But yeah, so this is the last one of the month, this episode here, January 31st. The next episode I might release still on the Wednesday, February 7th, but I believe that is Star Wars Podcast Day. And I do have a special podcast that we're supposed to be releasing that week on that day, which is my friend Ron and I are going to, hopefully, if everything works out schedule-wise, welcome Tommy Beckhold from New Rockstars again. We had him on one of our Marvel pods, and we're going to come up with what-if scenarios for Star Wars, if we were doing a Star Wars what-if series. And we're going to flesh out a few of them. Some of the ideas are just going to be real quick, like, hey, what if this? But some of them are going to be fleshed out pretty well, where we'll say, then this happened, and it's going to be a lot of fun. So if that does release on the 7th, then the next episode of this will probably release the Tuesday. Just kind of double dip that week is kind of what I'm thinking there. So far, where do you rank like this week on episodes? Because I think I'd put this one right after my number one week, I think, which was the one with Kit Fisto. I think I'd probably put this one right after that.
Yeah, same. Because I think we had the same top. But yeah, this one was like, oh man, like this show's getting really good. And if Cad Bane's in it and more bounty, like I think the bounty hunters have become my favorite in all of Star Wars lore. I just love all of them because they're so unique and have special abilities in and of themselves. And they come from different planets and they come from different species and they deal in different absolutes. And yeah, I don't know. I really, really enjoyed this episode. I'm excited for season 2 because I know this is really where it starts to ramp up towards the end of season 2 up into season 3. I think there's one of them that's coming up that's a lull, but like the first half of season 3, I think, or 4 is not as good. But this one,
Oh, what? Were you looking at ratings or something?
Yeah, I was looking at IMDb. But after that, man, like 5, 6, and 7 have the most 9-point star things I've ever seen in TV shows. It's like, that's nuts. Like, there's tons of them that have like 9.7. And this one, I mean, really, you can start to see it's really starting to ramp up in this season because you get more bounty and then you get more of what that relationship looks like between Palpatine. Because we do get a lot of that in this episode. We finally get our first real, like, Anakin and Palpatine.
I'm really, I'm really, I know this is going to sound like I'm really going far ahead here, but I'm really excited to get your thoughts when you watch this finale of the whole show. Because, I mean, talk about like 4 episodes of actual perfection of Star Wars. Like, I cannot wait till we get to it. I cannot wait.
Because like I saw on IMDb, I think it's like 9.5, 9.6, 9.7, 9.8. Like it's bang, 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 right in a row. It's like, dang, like that. It must really end well. Because seriously, the 6th and 7th season, it's the most 9. And I do a lot of IMDb because I like to see what other people think. I don't care what other people think, but I like to see like, where do people really look at that? Because I'll text you all the time. I'm like, and you and I have this discussion every single time. And I think it was Ron on your podcast that says it all the time. All I need to do is be entertained, and that's all we need. So,
right.
I would rate a lot of things 9 point something. They'd be like, "You're so stupid."
But, I know. I'm trying to be better for the movie podcast. We're doing films for the very first time. I'm trying to grade stuff a little more critically for the podcast. But like some of this stuff, like some of I look at my Letterboxd ratings when I'm rating movies, and it's like, oh, I gave that 5 stars. Okay,
but I think
but it's like whatever.
But I think what it is because if you're watching shows or franchises, you're much more invested, so you're less likely to be, I think, like, because if you were more critical right away, then you wouldn't watch it. Like, if people hated Star Wars, they'd be like, well, the hell with this. I'm not watching it anymore, but I'm not going to keep torturing myself.
There are some people, though, so I think there's a fine line there, because I do think when you are ultra invested, sometimes it goes the other way.
Yeah.
Where they
Maybe that's what it is.
Where they're like, hey, this didn't give me anything I wanted out of this Star Wars here. So then they go the other way with it.
Yeah.
Look, I mean, I kind of go back to this all the time. I liked Secret Invasion, and a lot of people didn't, and it's just like
I did
whatever.
too.
I
Yes, I did
enjoyed
too.
it. It's
Yep.
fine. Was it the
Echo.
best? No. Yeah, I
I,
liked Echo.
yeah.
Some people did not.
Yeah.
It just it is what it is. I try not to take offense to this stuff when I'm watching it. Like when I'm watching stuff, I'm not getting like upset a lot of the times. I kind of let the writer tell the story they want to tell, and then afterwards I'll be like, well, was it what I wanted? Maybe not. But a lot of times I think about the journey itself as we're going through it, and we got a good journey going right here on the Clone Wars watch here. All right, so like I said, next week, really out of order. So I want to reiterate this again for people that are following along with us. It'll also be on the thumbnail, obviously, for the next episode. But I always think it's good to be clear with when we're doing it. And also a reminder to Logan so he doesn't accidentally watch the next one wrong.
Yeah.
Season 2, episode 17, season 2, episode 18, season 2, episode 19. Then go back and watch season 2, episode 4. That is our watch for next week, as we'll do another mammoth 4-episode watch here. You can contact us, all of your thoughts, send us your man cave stuff that Logan was talking about earlier at podawakens on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Threads. Email us podawakens@gmail.com. Rate and review us on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Like and subscribe here on YouTube. Have a great rest of your week, and we'll catch you next time.